Welcome to NEXTGames video on how to beat this month's Volume 2 Ambuscade on any difficulty. Now this month's Ambuscade is the most challenging in memory, so there is a bit to go over. First, let's talk about the key item. The first way is by going to Morjami Ravine Bivouac number 2. Here you can get both the Velk kill for this month's Volume 1 Ambuscade, as well as the bird kill for this month's Volume 2. If you are doing Volume 2 more than once a day, then it may take you a few minutes to find the 10 birds that you need here. In that case, I recommend you instead head out of Whitegate, through the southern exit to Wojam Woodlands, and kill the Colibri in the area. So now let's talk about this month's battle. It is against a Tulfaire, who will summon 3 sets of elementals: Ice, Air, and Light. All of the mobs have very high defense, and your weapon skills will often only hit for 1 to 2,000 in damage. This will make finishing this fight in time very difficult if your focus is purely on physical damage. The fight has 3 different phases. In each phase, the elementals and Tulfaire will have different elemental weaknesses. When you first engage the Tulfaire, it will open with spawning 2 ice elementals. This starts the first phase. The ice elementals have a paralyzed aura, so this means you will be paralyzed for the first phase. The proc rate of the para only seems to be about 20%, so fortunately it's not an awful para. The ice elementals will often open with Blizzaga 2 or 3. This is the main reason that Arc TT is so critical, as if he doesn't stun one of these, your fight is over in the first 10 seconds of a very difficult run. This also means that Hate will be very wonky at the start of the fight, as normally the mages will need to start with a Curaga. Start by provoking the Tulfaire, and then engage one of the ice elementals immediately. Land a Katon Knee on it as soon as possible, and then switch to the second elemental to start working on its hate. Now once you get on this second elemental, you want to cut through it as quickly as possible. In order to do this, you want to use your elemental ninjutsu, starting with Katon, which usually does double the damage of the others, and avoiding Hyoten, which usually only does about 100 damage or so to these ice ellies. Now you want to keep your shadows up best you can, and spam these to get that first ice elemental down as quickly as possible. If you can manage it, a light skill chain followed by a Katon magic burst will do the most damage and finish off an elemental in a single round, but this can be difficult to pull off with all the mobs on you. After the first ice elemental is dead, move on to the second, which should go a little faster with 1 less mob on you, and make an SC-MB combo much more plausible. Now once the second ice elemental dies, you are still in phase 1. You now need to switch to the Tulfaire, and take it down to 69% hit points in order to enter phase 2. Note that in phase 1, the abilities that you will see the Tulfaire use are Pentapek, which is a move that will take 5 shadows, and if it hits you, inflict amnesia. Swooping Frenzy, which is a conal move that inflicts defense down and magic defense down, and wipes 2 shadows. And the last move that can be used in this phase is Frigid Pulse, which is an ice damage attack that ignores shadows and terrifies you for a few seconds. Since you are still in phase 1, you will want to focus on light skill chains and light magic burst, with fire doing the most damage. Try to get in as many as you can in this phase to speed it up, as phase 2 is the most challenging. You will also have the paralyzed aura in effect until you swap over to phase 2 at 69%. So this brings us to phase 2, which is definitely the most challenging phase. In this phase, there will be a gravity aura around all of the mobs. Additionally, the Tulfaire will now use an ability every 5 seconds called From the Skies, which appears to be a conal move that does wind damage and knocks you back about 20 feet. As soon as this phase begins, 2 wind elementals will spawn, which can cast Arrow 4, Aeroga 3, and Erosia. Erosia can be quite devastating, and you want to get through them as quickly as you can so you can avoid these going off. You're also hoping Archangel TT will stun them if the elemental you happen to be fighting is the one casting it. Now since you will have gravity on you and be continually being pushed back, you must stick yourself in a corner so that you can get melee hits in. Find one and put yourself there as soon as this phase starts. Try to time your ninjutsu elemental knee spells in between his use of From the Skies, because even though you are in a corner, you will still be getting pushed back into it and therefore interrupted. In phase 2, you want to focus on dark skill chains and dark magic bursts with a focus on ice. Like before, you will probably only be able to spam knees on the first elemental, so do so as quickly as you can. This time, avoid Hooten and starting with Hyoten. After you kill the second wind elemental, 2 light elementals will immediately spawn, which signifies the start of phase 3. These light elementals are actually fairly harmless and normally die much faster and smoother than the ice and wind elementals. The Tulfaire will use 3 abilities in Phase 3, Pentapeck and Swooping Frenzy as he used in Phase 1, but he will also now use Molting Plumage, which seems to be conal damage that knocks you back and dispels. It also ignores your shadows, and additionally if it hits for more than 0 damage it appears to be a hate reset move, so you are hoping that ArcTT stuns as many of these as possible. Now on the plus side, the Tulfaire now has lost his defense boost from Phase 1, and finishing him should only take a few Dark skill chains and Ice Magic Burst. For Trust, I'm using Joachim and Omiya for songs, Koru for haste, and Kupipi and Yoran Oran for cures. Alternatively, you could use Yignas or the new Trust Dr. Monborough in place of either of those white mages. I suggest starting with the difficult difficulty this month, and then if you can manage that, maybe step it up to the very difficult difficulty once you get comfortable. But this month is definitely going to give more people a challenge than usual, I think. As always, start with Yonin, Megawari, Gekka, and Kaka up, and keep them up for the duration of the run, and let's get to work. Enjoy the run, everyone. And that's it for this month's Ambuscade on Very Difficult. Hope you found that informative. As always, if you have any questions, go ahead and post it down there in the comments. Be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on for my channel to be notified when my videos come out each week. And have a great week, everyone.